A very good evening to all of you. We welcome you all for the national webinar on how digital health solutions can accelerate online mental health, wellness, and teaching of children with special needs. This is organized by Forum for Able, an organization which manages through visual and performing arts as an important tool for psychosocial rehabilitation. And we are organizing this in collaboration with ARPPI, that is Association of Rehabilitation Psychologists and Professionals India, the national body of rehabilitation psychologists of our country, Srishti Institute for Child and Adolescent Mental Health, and Sensorium Psychologists. So this national webinar on the topic digital health solutions. Now, what I understand is that for us at this point of the pandemic, when we all are locked down, when we all are confined to our houses, we are going through some very difficult areas, and the areas or the pillars which I would say is one that is grossly affected is health, and the other one is learning. And today we have this good group, I would call them as gems, who are here as experts, who would tell us as to how do we manage or how do we find out solutions through digital health. Why digital health assumes significance is because we are not able to meet physically, we have to maintain those distances. We have to take care of our general health. We have to take care of our mental health. And only when we are able to take care of our mental health, then the wellness part begins. Along with it, the teaching of children with special needs, that is the learning part. How will the digital health solutions find out solutions for health as well as learning? So that is the topic that we are going to discuss today. And I would like to tell you that we have got a group of some, as I told you, they are gems. These panelists were very difficult to get. Somehow I managed to collect all of them on the same platform. And I cannot think of a better panel than this. 5 magical people with the Midas touch. This is what I would say. Their words are magic. And I understand words can make or break. And positive words from people in authority boost our confidence because they have this loads of experience. And this experience and the position that they hold, they would be able to guide us as to what is the path ahead of these gloomy days, of the days when we are uncertain about our future. So with this, Dr. Himanshu Das, he is the director of NIPMED, National Institute for Empowerment of Persons with Mental Disabilities. I would call him, and I love to call, that he is an authority in the field of disability. Publications, research, policy decisions, clinician, teacher, you name it, and he is that. I welcome you, sir, to this national webinar here, and I'm sure we would be enriched with whatever you will have to guide us the way forward. We have Dr. KVS Rao, Director, Policy Matters, RCI, that is the Rehabilitation Council of India, UDID, UNCRPD, the Research Scheme, NURDS, NUD, Early Intervention at the Ministry of Social Justice and Welfare, Government of India. I believe whenever we have anything to look forward to related to people or persons with disability, we look forward to this ministry of the Government of India to guide us, to tell us as to how do we move forward. I welcome you, sir, to this national webinar today. And I'm sure again that we would be really enriched with whatever you have to share with us. Dr. Amitav Mishra, Professor in Special Education at National Indira Gandhi National Open University. I believe Dr. Mishra has guided somewhere around maybe more than 100 students for the doctoral research. Is also the General Secretary of Special Olympics Bharat, and he actively heads many committees at RCI as its chairman. I welcome you, sir, for joining us today in today's national webinar. Again, I would say that we have to learn a lot from you here. Mrs. Seema Jarath, Principal, DLF Public School, Chairman, Advisory Board, Forum for Able, National Award winning teacher, a strong proponent of inclusion at CBSE schools. I welcome you, ma'am, again for the webinar, and I'm sure there are a lot many things that we would like to hear from you. Next, we have Mrs. Hema Jagota, a young, dynamic, vivacious country head, clinical solutions at Elsevier. This is the same group, friends, I would like to tell you, which publishes Lancet, the world's oldest and the best known medical journal. Welcome, ma'am. We would love to know more about Elsevier, more about Lancet, and how we can associate with you, and how can your programs be incorporated into the health, as health programs or in the field of education. I welcome you, ma'am, for today's webinar. And I will be the moderator. As I've already started, I'm representing these two organizations, Srishti and Forum for Able, and also I'm representing the Association of Rehabilitation Psychologists and Professionals India, ARPPI. Now some statistics. According to the 2011 census, out of the 121 crore population in India, a whopping 2.68 crore people are PWD, that is persons with disability. And to add to it, however, the extent of support at their disposal is something that we would like to know. What is the extent of support that they are getting? And obviously we would like to know. 2011 census, and next year, that is, we are already into 2020, so we are likely to have the next census at 2021. And there would be an impact study that I'm sure all our stalwarts would be talking about it, that if we are 121 crore population, we were 121 crore population in 2011. So by rough estimates, we are somewhere around 137 to 138 crores now. So what is the population of people who have disability? And the impact study would tell us how the policies of the government and with the support of the NGOs, the schools, how have we functioned? What is the result of the efforts we all have taken? I'm sure I would love to listen. We all would love to listen. And the challenges, the major challenges that we are facing today. We all know, we are aware of Maslow's law of hierarchy, law of actualization. So what we understand at this point of time, because of so many things happening around us, economies crumbling, difficult times, people losing jobs, there is a struggle for existence, which Maslow says is at the very basal level of that pyramid. So existence is at stake, number one. General health, yes, it is at stake. Mental health is affected. Education is impacted. And of course, I understand when all these are impacted and disturbed and somewhere things are not going fine, so somewhere we are not well. So wellness is also affected. So the people who are in authority, people who are in position, who can make those changes, I'm sure they might have thought of some plan. They have come up with a plan. And the plans, I understand, that is something that we would love to listen. We would love to understand. A large percentage of children with multiple disabilities are emotionally very vulnerable at this point of time. They're all confined to their homes, no social interaction. Few family members here and there. And if they're abusive, or if they are not able to understand their issues, or maybe because of their own troubles, the lack of activities or games to stimulate them, which is like medicine to them, which is like a therapy to them, then there is also a disruption in the routine. They go to a school, the school is closed. They go to a therapy center, that is closed. They have some familiar people around, their friends, the peer group, even they are not able to meet them. So these are some of the challenges. And children are facing severe behavioral issues that we hear, that may crop up due to pent-up emotions, of course, lack of occupation, that is, they're not occupied, they don't know what's to be done, the change in routine, and those children who have a poor cognitive ability, who are not able to understand as to how to go about with their online classes, or how to understand that online. And I'm sure we will get the answers today. I'm sure we'll get. The children who have lower cognitive levels, how they are to be managed through online trainings, online education, and their inability to understand the reason for this sudden change in their lives. And some information that we have collected from the NCP, EDP, which says that adults, children, adolescents, those who do not have the resources, they are most affected. So many social stories going around. as to how people are finding it. Thalassemia is not able to arrange for blood. People who have to collect their rations, they are not able to move out because they are not allowed to move out. And when they go to collect their rations, they are not allowed, the rations are not given to their siblings. So a lot of such social stories that we are getting. And finally, I would say that the difficulties that in nutshell the persons or people with disabilities they are facing is that they are remaining confined, bottled negative emotions, which affect all stakeholders, leading them to remain lonely, sad, afraid. Some reports that we have got that where the children are staying with abuse, PWD and people with pre-existing comorbidities, they are more vulnerable to mental health issues like anxiety, depression, aggression. So how it is to be managed digitally, economic and movement hardships that I have talked, social support, missing therapies, new sanitization and hygiene needs and challenges, food and existence challenges, the sudden change in teaching method, overwhelming both parents and children. And of course, when you're disturbed, when you're bothered, when you're not able to move out, man is a social being. Our sleep patterns are disturbed. We find it difficult to sleep, and our health problems, of course, these are all related. It becomes worse. So with this, I would like to ask my first panelist, that is Mrs. Seema Jarath, principal of DLF Public School, as to how the schools have adapted to online teaching. And both the questions, maybe ma'am, you can take one question at a time. What do you feel is the efficacy of online teaching program?
Everyone. And thank you, Dr. Nandi, for initiating such an important deliberation on such a pertinent subject, and also for giving me the privilege to be part of such an august panel. I bring to this forum the school's perspective. How have schools adapted to online teaching learning? Well, with the coming of COVID, our world changed in the click of a button. Schools changed, teaching learning changed, teacher competencies changed, teacher mindsets changed, and even homeschool relationships changed when parents became the support teachers at home. But schools across the world, progressive schools across the world responded. We were locked in, but we did not let learning get locked in. Only the building was closed. Teachers were teaching, children were learning. Continuity of learning was not compromised. Now, although I speak about schools in the broad general sense, I would need to use the context of my school, DLF Public School, for the purpose of giving examples. So when in January we were preparing for the new session, 2021, we planned two timetables, a virtual timetable and a real-time timetable, because 2019 had brought such a lot of unprecedented holidays due to air pollution, covered holidays, excessive rain, and school got waterlogged, so holidays for that more than a week, and of course the extreme temperatures, summer and winter, which when holidays are announced. So we created we wanted to create these two timetables. So we invited Microsoft Teams to come over, and in late February and by 10th of March, they had trained all our teachers on Microsoft Teams. But little did we know that we would have to use that learning so quickly. On March 22nd, when the lockdown was announced, it took us, we started rebooting at a big level, and it took us 10 days and to be rebooted enough to be able to resume school as per schedule on the 3rd of April. The teachers taught in the morning and we built capacity in the afternoons and evenings because there was such a lot of ground to cover. I mentioned teacher mindsets. I want to say this, that all through, the teachers did not feel upset or harried. On the contrary, they were excited that they could learn so much with such modest effort and in so little time. They had vowed themselves and they had vowed us when they transitioned to this learner mindset and learned these virtual teaching learning methodologies. And this rebooting happened all across the world. It happened, we are collaborating so much now, listening to each other's examples. The stories are similar. And let me take you to my school. I have a presentation for you. Let me take you to my school, DLF Public School. So that's my school. And here we transitioned to virtual classes, not only in the scholastic areas, but we also rebooted in the cognitive domain. So it was important to provide physical activities to children who were cooped up at home. So yoga, fitness, aerobics, and a whole array of performing and visual art activities were made available for the children to choose from. Now, initially, we were a little hesitant about the co-scholastic component. We were comfortable with the scholastic, but we were not sure how this would go. But on 27th May, when the school had to close, these were so popular that when school had to close for the summer break, we got such a lot of requests for a summer camp after that. And we floated the idea for the summer camp, and overnight we had more than 1,000 students out of 1,500 in up to class 8 who wanted to participate in the summer camps. And today, June 12th, was the culmination of these camps where the children showcased their learning, and they have received an overwhelming appreciation and from teachers and parents alike. There are thousands and thousands of these appreciations that have come. These times taught me one thing, that every challenge that you face propels you to the next level of maturity. We actually surprised ourselves because we discovered that everything that we usually did was possible using technology, including global exchange programs. So we have this exchange program with Russia, our partner schools there, and we have been doing it for 6 years now. They come every year in November for a homestay program, and our children and teachers go there every year in May. This year, the children could not go. So the class 7th had a project on Siberian cranes that they were doing with their counterparts in Russia. And thank you to Zoom that we could culminate this project, and both the learning exchange could happen due to Zoom, over the Zoom platform. We felt the need to bring in as much predictability and certainty in these uncertain times. And one of the ways we did it was by celebrating all the special days that you can see on the screen. So that is Mother's Day, which is always celebrated, and the children cooked choco laddus and made drinks for their mothers, and the mothers sent back photographs for us. The dance day, the most important day, it's a monthly event. We celebrate the birthday of every child. We were wondering how would we do it, but every challenge also brought a solution, and we could celebrate the birthdays. Earth Day, we organized inter-school competitions as well, intra-school competitions as well, and the children participated, and they even won prizes in inter-school competitions. Now, when they win prizes in competitions, you want to celebrate. Now, how to celebrate the winners? So we organized class assemblies and invited the school director, and I also went, and we were to announce the results and give children their e-certificates. We asked the winners to switch on their videos, and the other children unmuted themselves and clapped for them. And all the other children also wrote appreciations for them on Padlet, which is an app for collaborative learning. We have been very conscious also that children's emotional and mental well-being needs are a priority during these times. And what you see now on the screen is a simple exercise where children were asked to acknowledge their emotions and give a name to how they are feeling. And every class begins with such conversations. Sometimes, and these conversations happen across classes. So sometimes there are conversations on empathy and how we can help those who are affected by COVID or the suddenness of it, on resilience, on how interconnected the world actually is. We were also continuously looking for ways to keep the children interested and excited about their online classes. And we did storytelling has always been very popular. So one very powerful way, the teacher had come dressed as Nani. That's a magic show to increase their children's vocabulary. And we kept a lot of the activities as close to real school as we could. But we also continuously explored new tools to keep the children motivated and engaged. We are an inclusive school where every learner must advance and no learner is left behind. We have some 140 children diagnosed with children with unique needs, and mostly SLD, but also others. And it is important to us that they too progress, whatever pace it may be. And using technology, we discovered that we could provide differentiated instruction, and we could also provide access to recording. Every lesson was being recorded. The children could go back to the recording and relearn at their own pace. We are also able to send customized assignments to the children without the other children knowing that we were sending them separate assignments. There were some very popular tools that benefited our children with unique needs and also engaged the other learners well. And there are numerous such tools. I'm just going to share a few tools, one of which is Flipgrid, which allows video responses. So it's a great tool for the children who are shy and don't want their face to be seen. They can just put a sticker over there. And it also helps those children who have writing difficulties. So those children can actually record their responses via video. This app uses something wonderful, the Immersive Reader. This Immersive Reader is a powerful tool, and it actually, children can adjust the pace of the speech to understand instruction better. And for some children who have difficulty in reading, it even reads out questions to them. I won't go into the rest of the details of the app. You can look it up, but it's amazing and it can really help parents as well as other teachers. Another app is Kahoot, a fun app, gamified, and it has image-rich quizzes. So these pictures are very helpful for children to remember information, especially for the children with unique needs. And there are many other advantages. So there is also Parley, and different classes have been using these, and all our children have been benefiting, including the children with unique needs. So this is I think it was class 11 for whom there was an online debate that was done on panic buying during the COVID-19 outbreak. Now, Parley ensures equal participation of all children, including the children with unique needs. Unlike the physical classroom, where vocal children tend to dominate. And there are numerous other advantages, as you can read on the screen. And we brought in even more tools. I'm not talking about them, but what happened is that they brought variety, and the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic stimulation that they provided was a huge benefit to all children, especially the children with unique needs, even the children who had concentration problems. Dr. Nandi talked about challenges. Yes, there are numerous challenges and concerns. One of them is the lack of human interface and the possible learning loss for our children with unique needs during this crisis. So from May 15th, Monday, we are reopening our sensorium, which is managed by Srishti Institute, and we have been partners for the last 5 years. And we would resume the clinical services, which include all kinds of therapies for the children. Have we been effective is another question I have to ask. Well, feedback is the breakfast of champions, and we took parent and student feedback, and 96% of our children and parents feel that the online classes actually facilitated learning for their ward during these months. 91% of the children are comfortable with online classes in July. And this was corroborated or reinforced during our CPTM, the Child Parent Teacher meeting. The last 2 Saturdays we had it. 96% of the parents attended. We have not seen so much passion for a parent teacher meeting before, but 96% of the parents from pre-nursery to 12 attended this, and all of them felt it was a very satisfying experience for the teachers, for the parents, and for the students. And something very interesting happened this time. Parents actually put their satisfaction into words, and they sent all these appreciations to the teachers. There was a lot of relationship building that happened in those CPTMs. The distance dissolved. The teachers came back feeling valued, respected, and appreciated. This is the first time that we have had such a lot of feedback from parents, and there were hundreds of such remarks. But the ones on the screen right now come from children who have unique needs. They come from parents of children who have unique needs. And to close, I must say that schools have not wasted this crisis. They have controlled and navigated around the dangers, and they have harnessed and nurtured the opportunities. And I don't think there is any going back. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And I'm sure in the end we have to take questions as well. And we'll have our next. Next, I would like to ask Dr. Amitav Mishra as to being a special educator. Again, I would say that his authority in the field of special education, having guided so many students of his, how do you feel, sir, have the special educators adapted and special education changed due to online teaching? And the second question is, what do you feel are the challenges of online teaching program for special needs children and adolescents with specific reference for those who have a lower cognitive level?
Thank you, Dr. Nandi. Simaji, it was good you have given robust background to, is a continuation of your presentation coming into mine. So I met you and I have seen your school doing excellent work. So it's good to have you on the panel. And so basically what is happening, I'd like to put my presentation also that will help others, because we know there are learning styles are different. So some people would like to see rather than hearing. So I'm just coming to presentation mode. It is coming, yeah. So children with special, it's visible. Okay, no problem. Okay, so I'll take, because Simaji has given very good background to online learning. So we talk about remote, basically it's online teaching or learning is something different today. It is a remote teaching learning, because the teacher is locked in her house and the student is locked in his house. So in that condition, so learning is happening in a different way. So school is locked down, as Simaji said. The school is locked down, but not the learning. We have to go ahead with that. As you know, there is 1.4 billion schools has been closed since March 23rd. 1.4 billion school worldwide. And there is a survey that says online market has, education market has increased. Today, out of each 500 students, at least more than 350 students are able to get some kind of remote learning at home through the online teaching. Secondly, the amount of the online education market in the 2016, which was only just $0.25 billion, it has now increased to $2 billion. So the internet markets, you can see all the things related to the online learning has increased. So it is not lockdown, is a life after lockdown is also a challenge. the social distancing, there are many other issues are there. So I'm not going to, because the new generation, the generation between 6 to 18 years, those who are born in the internet age, those are born with YouTube in their hand. So they don't think the technology is something cannot provide them effective learning. They can. Many times the parents and other, even there are many teachers who are expert in teaching in the classroom, but when it comes to the online learning, when it comes to the remote teaching, they feel quite some, their confidence level sometimes goes down. So the COVID-19 has not only given the challenges, it has given opportunities for connectedness through technology. There are three components we have to understand the remote learning. One is your student, the teacher, and the technology. So we have a student's perspective we have to understand. We have to understand teacher's perspective. We have to understand the technology perspective also. The student perspective, because the student with special needs, their family, if you talk about the tier 2 cities, small towns, most of the family, they have only one single smartphone. And sometimes what happens, they use for their other child who is attending a regular school. So a child with special needs really many times is deprived. This is our personal experience in the field. Secondly, if you have a child with severe disability, the independent learning doesn't happen. Then you have to get a mentor. Mentoring system is very important. Either a sibling or a family member, maybe a grandparents, maybe father, maybe mother, somebody has to be there. Somebody has to be there. Otherwise, it will be very difficult, because the teacher doesn't have the physical control over the child. The teacher cannot give the prompt. The teacher has other difficulties. The student's profile, the student's attention span, students' learning difficulty, learning challenges, the student disability, the student's accessibility issue. These are many things you need to consider. And the technology, that doesn't mean that a teacher has a laptop, a teacher has something broadband, that doesn't mean that a student has. We have to go back to the end user, that is student, what he has. So many times the teacher thinks is a very good PPT, I put lot of things there. But when the end user, it is going to the student who is using at the end, he has a small 5-inch smart mobile phone, because without smart mobile phone, you cannot see the things. 5-inch mobile phone, and your PPT comes by like a postal ticket size. So you cannot have such kind of PPT. We need to change, because it's not the technology, it is the student, what technology is at his or her end. That is very important. The teacher's perspective is very important, because it is not like a natural classroom where you can just provide the prompt, you can provide the reinforcement as you wish. So you have to change your activities, because you need to do a lot of planning for the online lessons. You have to do a lot of plannings. So I have been with a group of more than 50 special education teachers who are teaching online, who are doing remote teaching. So a 15 days teaching program, along with their trial sessions, I have observed a teacher who plans well the lesson with all kind of materials and everything, tools in the hand, and she does a good delivery than the teacher who is not planned properly. Strategy to engage your student, that is very important. So that's why the teaching, when you call, is a student engagement is very important. So if the student is not emotionally, socially engaged in the class, so as good your stuff may be, that is useless. And managing direct instructions is important. How you instruct the mentor through your online video or whatever you do. And the prompt also and the reward also. For the reward, you do a lot of visual rewards, show them smileys, show them things. So how you manage that, that is very important. That has to be done with your mentor who is, or the family member who is present at the other end. The technology capability, you have to understand, it need to be matched, because I discussed with you what the student has, that is more important. And sometimes what happens to a very hyperactive or maybe student with autism, they have problem with kind of reflections, lights and all the things. So there could be difficulties. Then you need to make sure where you can put the mobile phone so that you're able to see the student. So these are your camera angle and these issues to be taken care. The accessibility issues very important. How you provide your audio content, how you provide your video content, how you provide other content either through internet or many times what happens, the technology also is lost. Suppose there's a connectivity lost. So what alternative technology you have? So whether you have a co-teacher who can take care. That's why a team teaching is very important in such cases. Team teaching means you have a teacher, you have a co-teacher. Suppose a teacher is disconnected, a co-teacher manages the class. It's like therapist and co-therapist work a small group or maybe individual clients. So you have to understand every student is unique. That is very important. How you plan your lesson and how you do your individualized, personalized learning support, that is also important through technology. There are many factors, whether you are connected or isolated, whether you have physical, that I have already discussed with you. So how you plan your e-session, your session plan, your pre-session activities, because to keep student engaged, you have to provide lot of activities before you really teach online. They are fully prepared. They have done lot of activities online before coming to online. So you can have only a single online session, maybe 1 hour per 75 minutes, because the availability of or the data pack the parents have, that also matters. And also don't want to put the student under the screen for more hours. Let you provide lot of pre-session activities, and then they come to the online session fully prepared and fully knowing about what they're going to learn. That is the best practice. And during session, how you make the assessment also, small quizzes or maybe give some activities, that's more important to keep the student engaged. And your home activities or homework is very, very important, because you want to keep your student engaged, keep learning throughout the day. That is very important how to do. And the evaluation of home activity is very important, because you need to send your evaluation before the next class to begin. So pre-session plan, you have do a lot of things before you plan an online session. Then when you prepare for a remote session, how you set your goal, what are resources, your technology matching, your team formation, your coordination, that's very important. So technology support for remote learning, that is the connect anywhere. What the student has, you can connect. Easy to use, work smarter. So there are several issues, how you use different kind of apps. I'm not going to discuss much, but my concern is there are many useful software, because our teachers are using, they have understood. Even Simaji also given some other tools that could be very useful, because teachers should understand how to make audio file, how to make a video file, and how to even use different social media for the student to know, because that is another channel where the students learning is also reinforced. The teacher try, they fail, they succeed, that will follow every time. Because if the teacher are not well trained, so naturally your online learning classes, remote learning classes will not be effective. So this cycle will be. So as a teacher, you have to be in 3 places: in front of your student to cheer him, behind the student to back him, and next to see what they are not. If they are not working alone, your full support is required for them. So let us have a good learning, continue even during lockdown and then after. So I think it's important we have to see the perspectives and the issues, how to make the learning happen very smoothly and properly. Yes.
Important points that you touched upon, that the digital market, it is now worth in billions. That is very encouraging. I believe that people would definitely think of it, the entrepreneurs, even the teachers, what Seema Jarath ma'am said. And then the second important thing is that the teachers have to be well prepared. Mentoring is very, very important, which I understand. Right, thank you so much. And then we'll come to our next speaker. And I would like to ask Mrs. Hema Jagota as to how is the pandemic making people more vulnerable to mental health problems? What are the assessment tools in the pediatric group, the adolescents and adults? And what are the digital health solutions for wellness in different age groups developed by Elsevier? And I understand that we are running short of time. Ma'am, we have to wind up in 6 minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Nandi. In the interest of time, I'm just going to show one screen. It was very heartening for me to hear Seema ma'am and Professor Amitav talk about how the educators, how the academia is actually leveraging remote teaching and remote learning solutions to support the students. I think this kind of empathetic support is needed more than ever in such unprecedented times. So I'm going to quickly share with you the perspective of how industry is helping educators like you to support the students better. Now, as Dr. Nandi had mentioned, Elsevier is a 140-year-old organization that has evolved from the publisher of leading journals like Lancet, Clinical Key, Mosby Skills, to an information analytics giant. And when the coronavirus infection and the spread started increasing, we actually went ahead and we collated all our resources to provide the latest information assets in terms of research articles, in terms of latest clinical trials, in terms of latest clinical overviews that were being prepared across the world, and we have made it free. In the spirit of open access, all this information has been made free to all the physicians, nurses, frontline health workers, as well as researchers who are helping to identify the latest vaccine or rapid detection kits, or for early screening and identification of the COVID pandemic. So I hope you're able to view my screen. I am just going to give you a quick tour of the Healthcare Hub. As I mentioned earlier, this is available free of cost to everybody. And this has toolkits for all the professionals. And in the interest of the topic, I'm going to focus on the mental and behavioral health toolkit. And as you can see, we actually keep it updated on a day-to-day basis. And in this, we essentially have 3 sections, what should mental health professionals know? What are the latest developments in the field? And then what they should do? What are the screening tools? What are the checklists that they can use? And lastly, what to say. And under each of these, you will see that there are clinical overviews for different types of mental health conditions, ranging from generalized anxiety to major depression, PTSD, substance abuse. Then there is information about how to care Healthcare Hub. And of course, I welcome all of you to just browse through this link.
Okay.
Basically, this has the toolkits for all the areas, and I'm going to just focus on mental and behavioral health, where we have all the conditions ranging from generalized anxiety to PTSD. And then we also have checklists, risk assessment for the risk of depression or anxiety in children. And I encourage everyone to use these checklists, because these checklists are based on the latest evidence as well as the latest guidelines. And we, as I mentioned earlier, we have made it available to everybody for use. Then we also have health screening tools as well as education tools, because our health and our wellness is in our hands. So each one of us use the information that has been shared and leverage this to live a stress-free life as much as possible during this challenging time. So, in the interest of time, I'd just like to conclude by saying that Elsevier is at the forefront of helping all the communities, the educators, the parents, and the frontline health professionals to cope up with the stress of the pandemic. And we have made all the information, latest evidence-based guidelines available to the industry. And feel free to please reach out to me in case we can be of any additional support. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Nandi.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I'm sure we will be able to use these links and the tools that you have provided to us. The links, we are definitely going to use it, and a long list that I could see. And I'm sure it will take a lot of time for us to go through this list. And
absolutely. Yeah, just in the interest of time, I know we are at the top of the hour. I've just gone through it in a hurried manner, but please feel free to reach out for additional information.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Dr. KVS Rao, sir, I'm sorry there was some disruption. And may I ask these questions to you, sir, again? Well,
sir, actually,
Dr. KVS Rao.
Sir is not here.
So
KVS Rao sir is not here. Actually.
Okay. And so the next question is for Dr. Himanshu Das. So I have come to the director of National Institute for Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities. And as I told you that he is authority in disability. So, I have a very important question for you, sir, as to how do you think, or how have this Apex Institute of yours, that is NIPMED, designed methods for the nation? And it's yours, the time is yours, sir.
Forum for Able to Psychologists and Professionals India, 60 Institute for Mental Health, being digital solution is the I congratulate all of you and all of you from Sima Madam Mataji. I understand there is a very, very huge liability on part of the National Institute in terms of coming up with some kind of designs. We may take some time to actually formalize the designs and the protocol with regard to COVID. However, I'd like to point out to the few steps that we have strongly undertaken in past 3 months across all the national institutes and our state level institutions called as composite regional centers across the country. The first thing we came up immediately was a mass movement with prevention, with accessible materials that could be given different types of abilities and for accessibility needs. The second that we up was the parent training and the parent support need in management of their children. How do they can help transforming the home to a learning lab? The third project that we undertook was the online consultations. Across the country, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, we have social workers, we have experts, we have a host of rehabilitation experts across the country. Whatever way that we of our clients while reaching our medications, and our people were on the supply of the medication as well. We are giving even psychiatric support during this online. Use support line during the online consultation. but these things need streamlining and protocol development a little more. The fourth thing we took up was the helpline development. This is still in process. Now we have got a 3-channel helpline for supporting mental health issues of persons with disabilities, because this pandemic has affected the mental health of persons with disabilities and their families. So we wanted to take that up with the guidance of our Secretary Shakuntala Dale-Gamlin ma'am and our joint secretaries. We started this helpline, and by next 10 days we should be able to have about 40 channels connecting 40 different institutions and a host of psychologists and clinical rehab practitioners at the end of those 40 channels. For professionals. If you look at this book, all this, you will. It's not a single day where our people are in the all our seminars, conferences online, nationally and internationally, and trying to support this movement of professional training, which supposedly is working as a miracle in terms of not only COVID, but in terms of coping up with their non-so-busy schedule and then trying to relearn the set of skills that they had lost. Next thing that we are trying to do now is we have realized the importance of digital TLM, teaching learning materials. So all our staff, all our departments across different national institutes are engaging themselves into development of digital learning materials. Though because of administrative issues and problems, we may not be able to develop so much in coming 1 or 2 months, but I hope this has given us a signal that in future we must be having a huge lot of digital teaching learning material. The next thing, we have all come up with the idea of having to have a lot of app for different kind of disabilities and different kind of services. So we're going to launch a lot of apps across different national institutes to support the services for persons with disabilities, parents and the professionals and the students. Those are coming into our gamut. Last thing that we have also realized that we need to have furthermore and much more convergence with regard to serving persons with disabilities. Yesterday only we had a webinar of its first kind that National Commission for Women was pulled in, and they pulled us, and we both conversed us together to support women with disability with regard to COVID and what kind of sufferings women might be having, their plight, so on and so forth. Last thing, that overall at the internal level that you see, our design primarily rotates across 2 different important segments. The first segment is the parent capacity building segment. Whatever way possible, we have realized that parents are the sole partner and the key partner in the process of special education and rehabilitation. So capacity building of parent is one of our key underlying goals for design building. And the second is capacity building of professionals, because all the professionals that we have right now, special educators, psychologists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, all of them across different rehabilitation levels, they're working. They were never being trained for offering online services. They were never being trained for online classes, online interaction with clients or their students. So that is one area which we would like to focus on now in our design. How do we equip all our parents and professionals in terms of being sophisticated performer in using the digital platform? Thank you, Nandi Saab. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. The issue was we were not able to hear you very clearly. There were many people who wanted whatever you said was, worth in gold. So what we would request is, I believe I am audible to you. What I would request is, sir, yes, whatever you have said, can we get a presentation, or can we get that in writing so that I can distribute it to the people who are not able to hear you properly because of this connection problems?
I'll send it across in a day or 2, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So what I believe is now what sir said, that capacity building of professionals, capacity building of parents, this is the key. And whosoever, say for Hema ma'am, for Himanshu sir, or Dr. KVS Rao, I would request all our panelists to please send their presentation so that we can collect and collate as to your very important information that you have shared with us. And this is something that we intend to keep it as a treasure so that we can keep moving in that direction from now on. So there were many questions from the participants, and I believe I could see that they were the answers were coming from the because I need to, after seeing that question, I would be able to address it to our yes. Now I have got it. Respected presenters, kindly suggest what to do in a condition where a school is not providing online counseling services to students and children with special needs and focusing on online academic teaching. So there is a pressure on students as well as a counselor, as no salary for the counselor. So these are two aspects. One is the salary, and the second part is the first question that you asked is that the counseling is not being provided to the students. Of course, I understand counseling is very, very important. Counseling has to be provided. It has to be given. Those parents who are desirous for this kind of counseling services, I'm sure there is a RCI helpline also, right? That I will share with you. There's an RCI helpline which provides free online counseling. And as regards to the salary part, that is absolutely between you and the school. I don't think so I'll be in a position to answer that. Seema ma'am, would you like to answer this question?
I also like
please,
to add
please,
something,
please,
Dr.
please.
Nandi. Let's respond. Yes.
Please, sir, please.
Yeah. So, sorry, Simaji, you can just. So, what because if you have been teaching learning process in a school, so SEL goes together. Socio-emotional learning, which is very important aspect, which goes hand in hand. So, hence, the psychological well-being is a part of our teaching program, because you have to keep a student engaged, motivated, interested. If the student has any difficulty, I think it is the responsibility of the school teacher and the counselor to solve it, because then it is a prerequisite for good remote learning. So if the students are in stress, they have other difficulties, so hence your teaching learning program cannot be effective. So that's why it is the coordination between the school teacher and the school counselor is very important. It's very important. So there are many online programs are there. If any area they don't have any school not providing the online program, so they can also contact. We can provide the list of online schools. Those are already organized the online programs. So student from anywhere can be connected, can receive the education. Yes. Yes, Simaji, you can do.
Thank you so much, sir. It was so relevant, whatever you said. Yes, ma'am, would you like to add to this?
Okay. So I think Professor Mishra said teachers should do it now. The school is not able to do it for whatever reasons. They must have their constraints. And every school has a different culture. Every school has their own priorities. Now, in this case, I think who is the first helpline for the child, Swati ji? The first helpline for the child, the first teacher for the child is the parent. Now, Dr. Das, I think whatever little I could understand from what he was saying, I could hear, he gave some very good, he said that there are counseling helplines that they have provided. They are creating parent capacity building programs. Now, what better, Swati ji, why should you even be dependent on any third party? I think it is between you and the child, and you can build your capacity and you can be the best counselor that your child needs. So I think everything, it all begins with me. If it is to be, it is up to me. Those are those 10 two-letter magic words. Probably you could address it yourself. Till you wait for others to solve your problem, you might keep waiting. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And I believe so many of them have asked Hema ma'am for the tools, and Seema ma'am for the apps that you are using. So it is very, very encouraging. And next, let me continue with the presentation. And I'll just take 2-3 minutes more. So what I would say is that RCI and ARPPI, that is Association of Rehabilitation Psychologists and Professionals India, we helped to prepare a state-wise list of counselors and psychologists. We provided our own list of counselors and psychologists to the RCI. What are we doing? So, some of the help that we understand that our experts have given, some wonderful solutions that our experts have given. What else that we are doing? Yes, the RCI and the ARPPI, what we have done. The Forum for Able, we are promoting mental health through online competitions for PWD in the areas of visual and performing arts. These are all online competitions, even online mentoring, right? Online in the areas of painting, sketching, instrumental music, singing. So we are keeping them engaged. And the children, I could see their enthusiasm once they get into the YouTube, or when they see that their videos are getting uploaded, the potential actually comes out. And even if not all are talented, so even if somebody is not able to perform to that levels, but still I could see that there is a change in their performance, which is extremely heartening. And besides this, Srishti and Sensorium psychologists, we regularly hold online live sessions with experts on issues related to PWD, also online teaching, therapies, relevant videos, feedback from parents are a continuous part of our efforts during these difficult times of the pandemic of COVID-19. And as I said, that those of you who are watching, and many of you might be knowing that RCI certified professionals are there to support mental health well-being of all citizens during and after COVID-19 outbreak. A state-wise list of 640 licensed rehabilitation and clinical psychologists are there in the website of RCI. You can go to the website of RCI and you can see the state-wise list of licensed rehabilitation and clinical psychologists, and the mental health helpline is here. Those of you who are interested in taking down this number, you may use this number. Besides, and finally, my conclusion would be, who is happy? खुश कौन है? आज के टाइम पे खुश कौन है? और खुश वो है जो अपने अंदर एक बच्चा छुपा रखा है. Anybody who is a child. And the child does not need anything. He's happy with even a very small thing. Even a very small toy, he's happy with it. If with small achievements, he's happy with it. The only time he gets frustrated is when you confine him. So when you see a child and the way he remains happy, this is something that we need to inculcate in us. This is for all of us, includes me, that we need to inculcate in us that yes, I can be happy with small things. So small achievements that we make at this time, when we help others, when we go out and be a little compassionate, when we do things which might help others. So all these things, we have seen children, how they are happy, how they always remain happy. So let us keep this child is in us alive. And then this passion, the passion for just anything, the passion for learning, the passion for a hobby, the passion for a certain goal, इसको कहते हैं पागलपन. If we have this passion in us, I'm sure our other issues, the issues which bog us, which pulls us down, would be minimized. So I believe in order to remain happy, I would not go on and on. So just two things, if you could keep in mind. One is let us keep the child alive in us. Let us be passionate in whatever we are doing. I'm sure we would be happy. And this is what we need during these gloomy days. And I'm sure, I know this is a passing phase. This would definitely go off. Were you able to, was I audible? I think, yes. So I'm presenting my screen again. So this is what it is. I believe that, and these are the organizations who are involved today: Forum for Able, Sensorium, the Association of Rehabilitation Psychologists and Professionals India, NIPMED, their director, Dr. Himanshu Das. Wonder, sir, I really missed your talk. I really missed it, and you will have to come back to us again. Sir, I really missed you because of the connectivity issues. I know you are very fluent with your talk, but I couldn't hear you, and many of our audience had the same thing to say. And Hema Jagota from Elsevier, DLF Public School, our Professor Dr. Mishra, and Srishti. So I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. And before, these are some of the reference that I had taken. And before I say thanks and goodbye to all of you, let us see a video which Roop is going to play for us. Let us see the video. Let us hear it.
जय 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 हो जय 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 जय। फिर से शहरों में रौनक आएगी, फिर से गाँव में लौटेगी हंसी, फिर से साथ सारे यार होंगे, ना होगी पाबंदी, ना रोक ही कोई, फिर से सड़कों पे सब नाचेंगे, पटरी पे पहिए भागेंगे, गूंजेंगे खेलों के मैदान, बांटेंगे हम खुशियां, गम भी हम मिलकर बांटेंगे, फिर से होगी सपनों की उड़ान। जो साथ देते सारा इंडिया, फिर मुस्कुराएगा इंडिया, फिर जीत जाएगा इंडिया। जो साथ दे सारा इंडिया, फिर मुस्कुराएगा इंडिया। जो साथ दे सारा इंडिया, फिर मुस्कुराएगा इंडिया, फिर जीत जाएगा इंडिया, फिर मुस्कुराएगा इंडिया।
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you, all the expert panelists, and thanks to this wonderful audience that we had. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you, all of you, again and again. So this is, I believe that this was just a teaser, and I'm sure we would get enriched with all the experience, loads of experience, I would say, that you have. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.